So this video is about scale fingerings for selected flat major keys, and those would be E flat, A flat, and B flat major. Okay, so to review, in terms of scale fingerings, there's really the same fingering for all the keys, and that is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, or in the left hand 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, which is to say there's a small group of fingers and there's a bigger group of fingers. Yeah, so bigger group and smaller group. If we review the C major scale fingering in the right hand, you have, of course, the smaller group first and then the bigger group. And if you're in the left hand, you have the reverse, which is the bigger group. We won't worry about this because it may belong to the previous octave. And then the smaller group, right? So all scale fingerings are some combination of this. So with that in mind, let's talk about the flat keys that we're talking about today. So there are different fingerings for the right and for the left hand. The left hand is perhaps the easier one because the fingering is exactly the same. It is the small group plus the big group. So for the left hand in all these keys, it's a smaller group first and then the bigger group. So let's put this on the keyboard. Let's say for E flat major, it would be 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3 to restart the octave, right? Pretty straightforward. If you were to do it in A flat major, it'd be exactly the same fingering. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 3 to start over. Yeah? Same exact thing for B flat if you want to see that. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3. So left hand is straightforward. Just memorize small group plus big group. Okay. So what makes the right hand tricky is that the fingering differs for all of the scales in a certain way. Now let me show you. So let's start with E flat, and I'll tell you what that fingering is. Yeah, so it's confusing because we're kind of in the middle of a smaller group to start, and then we do the big group, and then we kind of do the small group again. If you try to think of it this way, it's going to be really confusing. So what I'm going to tell you now will simplify the right hand for all three of these keys. I'll just put them here to remind ourselves. And basically what happens is that these right hand patterns follow the clumping principle. And of course the clumping, as you remember, is that we have 2 short fingers and 3 long fingers. So these long fingers go on the black keys, yeah? And if you only have 2 black keys, then use 2 of your long fingers. If you have 3 black keys, then you have to use all 3 of your long fingers, okay? So that's what we mean by the clumping principle, as you may know. So all of these right hand keys basically follow this, but you are dropped in the middle depending on which key you're in. Okay, so let's follow this. Let's do E flat. You know that this has to be a 3 because 3 is assigned to this key. Now 1 always goes on the white key. Oops, let me clear these for clarity. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is all expected, right? We expect these fingers on these black keys. Totally normal. 1, 2. Usually we expect 2 here, but we need to denatural, so it goes down there. 3. So this is your E flat fingering. Now you notice everything is still clumping. All the black keys are still played by the fingers that we expect. The only thing we have to do is make a couple adjustments for the black keys that are now white keys in the scale. Okay, so let's see this in action for A flat and B flat. A flat starts here. So I'm just going to erase what we don't need before that. So I'll put in the fingering 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Nothing is unexpected. The 4 always plays the B flat. 2 and 3 always play these. 1 is always on the white keys. And the only modification we have is that this black key doesn't need to be there. We need a white key to play the right pitch in the scale. But you see how the fingers that we usually assign to clumping are still doing the same clumping keys. That's what I mean when I say these are clumping keys still, because all the black keys are played by the usual suspects, yeah? Okay, so final demonstration would be B flat. And let's just clear this for clarity. So for B flat, you're dropped in to the scale about here, and you expect a 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to start, if you want to put a 2 here for comfort, that's fine. But you see that the black keys are still played by the expected fingers. 3 always goes here. 4 always goes here, yeah? 1 is always on a white key, of course, and then you just kind of have these modifications for these white keys in the scale. So the right hand, I think, is a little more complicated because you have to think about where you're being dropped onto the keyboard and where in the clumping pattern you are. So the way to do this is to practice hands separately. Make sure you've got your left hand 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1 all set in a certain key, and then figure out your right hand based on clumping principles. Then when you've got both hands comfortable as separate fingerings, then you can put them together.